It's not every day you hear a government minister tell people to protest the very system that they're in charge of. But that is exactly what just happened in Nepal. And honestly, it's a story that really challenges everything we think we know about how change is supposed to work. So let's get right into this pretty wild call to action.
So get this. That's not a quote from some activist or an opposition leader. Nope. That is a direct quote from Nepal's education minister, Mahavar Pun. He's not just asking for some feedback here. He is calling for a full-on movement from the people who are most invested in the education system, the parents. So you have to ask yourself, why on earth would a high-ranking official do something like this? I mean, it is a totally radical move. It completely flips the script on how we think about government. To really get it, we need to look at the problems he thinks are so big that the government just can't solve them by itself.
Right? What could possibly be going on inside Nepal's schools and universities that's so bad it would push the education minister himself to say the only answer is a protest from the ground up? Well, the answer shows a system that's really in crisis.
And look, the minister wasn't being vague about it. He didn't just make some broad call to action. He pointed to a very specific set of problems. Systemic failures that are just crippling the country's schools from the local level all the way up to the universities. He basically laid out 4 huge issues that are eating the system alive: arbitrary decision-making, constant irregularities, deep-seated corruption, and the really toxic influence of politics. These aren't just minor headaches, These are fundamental problems that completely destroy trust and quality. So when you're facing these giant challenges, what do? Well, the minister came up with a solution that's as unconventional as it is powerful. Instead of piling on more rules and bureaucracy, he's basically betting on the people.
Yeah, he's actually admitting out loud that orders coming from the top, from the capital, just aren't cutting it. The directives from his own office aren't getting to the root of these local, dug-in problems. These are the kinds of issues you just can't fix with a memo from some far-off office.
The key word he used is awaken. And that is such a powerful word, right? It's almost a spiritual call to action. What he's saying is, for real lasting change to happen, parents have to stop being just passive spectators and become active defenders of their kids' futures. It's a complete change in mindset. And to give this call some real teeth, the minister didn't frame it as just a nice suggestion. He framed it as a constitutional right. He's reminding parents that demanding accountability, protesting when things go wrong, that isn't just an option, it's a power that the nation's highest law guarantees them. But the minister's call doesn't just end with parents. He's making it crystal clear that fixing a broken system isn't on one group of people. This all builds into a much bigger idea about working together. I mean, think about it. There is a huge difference between one person complaining and a whole group taking action. A single parent is pretty easy to ignore, right? And that just leads to frustration. But a united, organized movement of parents and citizens, well, that demands a response. It shifts the whole conversation from one little incident to a massive systemic problem that you just can't ignore anymore. And this is where we see the full picture. For reform to actually stick, you need everybody on board. It needs what he called the conscious and wise participation of parents, for sure, but also teachers, staff, students, and, this is so important, all citizens. Because education isn't just a family thing, it's the foundation of a whole society. So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. What we're seeing is a government official trying to make a radical transfer of power. He's basically saying, look, we in the government have our limits. The real power to fix this lies with you, the community. It's a huge gamble, sure, but it's one that's based on this belief that true change always comes from the ground up. Now, the minister's call was aimed at the people of Nepal, but that question, it really echoes far beyond their borders, doesn't it? It's a challenge to all of us who care about education and our communities. It asks us to think about what our role really is and what we're willing to do when the systems we count on start to break down. It really makes you think, for the future of education, are you ready to awaken?